Okay, we're going to be looking at the 5th grade Unit 1 Math Review for Multiplication and Division. And for the homework, I asked you to only do the left side. If you choose to do the right side as extra practice, that's fine. But for today, we're just going to be concentrating on the left side. We're going to begin by looking at the first question, which asks us to evaluate the following expression and to solve for this missing digit. And when we've talked about this in class, we talked about a strategy to use, which was to do what? Right, to try maybe the middle number, maybe your 4 or 5, and to see if it works. If it doesn't, to adjust. So I have 6, 3, 5, and 4. And again, look for which one of those is about the middle digit. So maybe the 4 or 5. I got a low and a low, high and a high. So maybe I decide to try the 5 first. So I'm going to do 436 times 53. And I will multiply that through and see if the 5 works, and if it doesn't, I will use the final product that I get to adjust. And then, again, in this question, the product that I'm looking for it to equal is 18,748. So first, 3 times 6 is what? 18, drop my 8, and regroup my 1. 3 times 3, 9, plus 1 more is 10. Drop your 0 and regroup your 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. Now, okay, again, many zoos. I'm going to put a 0 for zoos, meaning that I'm now done with my 1's place. I'm looking at my 10's place. So cross out my partial product, my regroup digits. And now 5 times 6 is 30, so drop down my 0, regroup my 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 more is 18. Drop down my 8 and regroup my 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Now add them together. 8 and 0 is 8. 0 and 0 is 0. 3 plus 8 is 11. Drop down my 1. Regroup my 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And then 2. So I get this as my partial, as my product, 23,108. Check it against my answer. Did it work? No, I realized that 23,000 was too high. So since my 5 did not work, I also know that my 6 is going to be too high. So now I can choose, try my 3 or my 4. Doesn't matter. It's really just your preference. So let's say I decide to try now my 4. I'll do 436 times 43 equals 3 times 6 is 18. Regroup my 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. Regroup my 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. So same thing as here because we were multiplying by the 3. Now we're in our tens place, so we're going to drop down a 0. Cross out our 3 and our regroup digits. And now I'm going to try the 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Drop down my 4. Regroup my 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. Regroup my 1. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 more is 17. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 4 is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. 1 plus 7 is 8. Nothing plus 1 is, check that against my, does that work? And in this instance, the 4 did work. If I had tried the 3, I would realize that the 3 was too small, and I would have then went on to try my 4. Now let's slide our paper up. If you want to try this one as practice, you may, just to see if you can do it on your own, because again, this is on the test. Look at the next one. The next one is a word problem. I know with word problems that I always must use cubes. I'm going to circle my important numbers and what they represent, underline my question, box my operation word, eliminate unnecessary, and evaluate an expression, solve and show work. So the word problem says, the students read an average of 1,176 minutes per month. How many minutes does the average student read in 12 months? So I'm going to go ahead and do my C, circle 1,176 minutes per month and 12 months. U again is underline the question. The question is, how many minutes does the average student read in 12 months? B is to box. So per month kind of gives me an idea that I'm not just, this is how much she reads in 1 month, but I don't want to know 1 month. I want to know 12 months. So that is telling me that I will be multiplying. So I have my C, U, B, eliminate and evaluate. So there's nothing to eliminate, but now I'm going to evaluate. So review my important information. I know that I have 1,176 minutes per month, and I want to know for 12 months. So if this represents 1 month, to represent 12, I need to multiply by 12 in order to solve it. 2 times 6 is 12, drop down my 2, regroup my 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 more is 15, drop down my 5, regroup my 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3, 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so now I did my ones place, same deal. Now I'm going to cross out my ones and my regroup digits and move on to my tens. So again, many zoos, many animals. I know I'm now going to jot down my 0 that represents this 1 is worth 10. 1 times 6, 1 times 7, 1 times 1, 1 times 1. So I have many zoos, many animals. Now I'm going to add together my two partial products. 2 plus 0 is 2. 5 plus 6 is 11. 3 plus 7 is 10, but plus 1 more is 11. Regroup your 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 1 more is 4. Nothing plus 1. And add in my comma. My correct answer is D. Again, there's a sample question right beside it that you can try as well. These are all going to be very similar to different kinds of questions that you might see on your assessment, as these are skills that we've covered throughout our unit. Now let's look at our next one. Our next one is a very high order skill, which is looking at somebody else's work and finding their error. Take a minute and think back to when we learned this skill. What strategy did I give you to help you solve it? I told you that when you're looking for somebody else's error, you should just rewrite the question right beside it, making sure that everything lines up, and work it out. See, where does your answer stop matching theirs? So if I do it correctly, 9 times 7 is 63, so drop my 3 and regroup my 6. 9 times 4 is 36, but plus that 6 more, 42, so I'm going to drop down my 2 and regroup my 4, and then 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 4 more is 22. So now I've done that first step of many zoos, many animals. I've multiplied, and so far my digits match theirs, My regrouped matched there, so far we've got the same. So again, many zoos, many animals. I multiplied. Now I'm going to do my zoos, drop down my 0. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to multiply the 2 times 247. So 2 times 7 is 14. Drop down my 4. Regroup my 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 1 more is 9. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So I did my many zoos. I just multiplied again. My last step is going to be to add it, but I'm going to check and see, do I match now? What you should notice is here you had an 8, they had an 8, and here I have a 9. So here's where their first error is. What did they do that got them an 8 instead of the 9 that they should have got? How'd they come up with that 8? So let me see again. I did 2 times 7 gave me the 4, and I regrouped the 1. And then I did 2 times 4. Oh, that's where they got the 8. 2 times 4 is 8. They forgot to add that regrouped digit. They forgot to add that one right there. So let me look at my answer choices. A, she didn't add the regrouped digit in the first partial product. Well, the first partial product was fine, so it's not that one. B, she didn't multiply correctly in the second partial product. Well, I do see that her second partial product is where the error is, but was it her multiplication that messed her up? Nope, she multiplied fine, so that's not it either. And C says she didn't add a regrouped digit correctly in her second partial product. Okay, we did agree that the second partial product was the error. Was the error that she didn't add the regrouped digit? Right, we decided that she forgot to add that regrouped digit in her second partial product. So our correct answer is C. But if we do look at D, it says she didn't add the 2 partial products correctly. She did add them correctly, but she got the wrong answer because she messed up here. You're always looking for your first error because everything after that first error is then going to be wrong. So her first error was that she did not add her regrouped digit correctly on her second partial product. Now flip over to the back side. Okay, on the back side it says, which expression could be used to find the quotient of 4,836 divided by 12? When we learned this, we were talking about the distributive property, and we said that we can sometimes divide quickly if we find basic facts that we can multiply by 12 in this instance together first. Our divisor cannot be broken up. Our divisor has to stay 12. I can't take 4,000 and split it by 10 people and then split the leftovers by 2 because it wouldn't be equal groups. So you can't ever split up your divisor. So you'll notice if you look down at answer C, they split it divided by 10, divided by 2. That doesn't work. I can't change the amount of equal groups because then it wouldn't be equal groups. So I can go ahead and eliminate C. So now I want us to look. Could I do 4 divided by 12 evenly? Or 4,000? No. Could 48 go into 12? Yes, 48 could be divided by 12 evenly. Could 3 be divided by 12 evenly? No. How about 36? So you should notice that there are 2 basic facts that I could use to help me easily divide this expression, which would have been 48 divided by 12 and 36 divided by 12. However, when we're doing this, we need to consider the value of this. 48, what is the value of that 48? Right, it's not really 48, it's actually 4,800. So it's going to be one of these 2 answers. It's not really 48. If you look at its place value, it's actually 4,800. And here 36. Is that really 36? Yes, it is. It's 3 10s and 6 1s. So you're looking for 4,800 divided by 12 plus 36 divided by 12. You'll notice this has 4,800 divided by 12, but here it breaks down the 30 and the 6 divided by 12, and since they don't go evenly, that's not the answer we're looking for. The correct answer is B. Breaking it down by the value, I can do 4,800 divided by 12, and then my chunk of 36 divided by 12. Again, you can try the one next to it if you want as a quick practice. Just pause the video. Otherwise, let's continue going because we are just working on the left side. The next question is a select all, which takes a little bit more time. I want to find all that are going to have a value of 50. So look at my very first one. I'm going to give you a strategy that might help you. You can actually write it as division and do 1,400 divided by, whoops, we'll do the number house, divided by 28, and do it that way if you want. Your other strategy is to think about what do you know about division, the relationship between multiplication and division. Right, so hopefully you recognize that you could actually rewrite this as multiplication, and that is what I would use. So I can take this 28, set them all equal to a value of 50, because we want to find out do they equal 50. And I can now take it and rewrite it as multiplication and see does it equal my dividend that I'm starting with. So I would take here and I could do 28 times 50, or really just 28 times 5, and then I'll add that 0 on at the end and see will it equal 1,400. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop down that 0 there so I don't have to worry about it. 5 times 8 is 40. Drop down my 0. Regroup my 4. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 4 more is 14. Did A work? Right, A did work. When I multiplied the value of 50 by 28, it did end up equaling 1,400. If I were to have divided it out, I would have gotten 50. If I had taken 1,400 and divided by 28, it would have came out to 50 as well. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 more is 14. And if I had dropped down my 0, I would have still got the same answer. It's just that if you're more comfortable with multiplication, you can use that relationship between multiplication and division to solve much more quickly. Same thing here. Look at B. Again, I'm going to set it to 50, and now I'm going to try 50 times 7. Well, I know that 5 times 7 is 35. And if you bring down that 0, 350. Does B work? Right, B does not work. When I multiply 50 times 7, I get 350. They have 3,570, so B does not work. Look at C. Same thing. I can set it equal to 50 and then multiply 50 times 50. Look at your basic fact. 5 times 5 is 25. Add a 0, add a 0. When I multiplied 50 times 50, did it work? Yes, I got the same answer, so C is correct as well. Same thing here. You're going to do the same thing for D. You're going to set it equal to 50, because that's what we want it to see if it has a value of. And multiply first your basic fact. 7 times 5 is 35. Bring down that 0. Did that work? Yes, so D is correct as well. So you actually had 3 correct answers for this question. You would do the same thing on the right side. If you want to try it now, you would set them all equal to 30 and redo them as multiplication. Multiply your basic fact and see does it equal that dividend. If If you do not want to do that, no worries. You only have to do the left side for homework. Let's look at the next question. Miss Foreman's class baked 264 items for the bake sale. If each of her 22 students baked the same amount of goods for her bake sale, how many goods did each student bake? So I'm going to go through and use cubes. So first I'm going to circle. I know that she baked 264 items. And it was each of our students that did it. Underline the question, which was how many goods did each class bake? So I did my C of circling, I did my U of underlining. Now I'm going to my B, box my operation word. Oh, each. Each again. Oh, same amount. Okay, that's important as well. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to now go on to E to evaluate an expression and then to solve and show work. So I know that her class baked 264 items and that each student baked the same amount. Each of her 22 students baked the same amount. So I need to come up with an expression. Well, I know it's division because it's saying each and same amount. So when I divide, the very first number needs to be what is being shared. What am I dividing out? I'm actually dividing out or sharing the 264 baked items divided by 22 items per student. So I'm going to take this and divide it out and see which of these does it equal. So I know I can't do 2 divided by 22. Or in other words, I can't share 2 cookies with 22 friends. I can do 26 though, divided by 22. If I had 26 baked goods and 22 friends, that means each of them baked one of them. So I'm going to do 1 good times 22 friends, which means I'm subtracting 22. So whatever you're subtracting really is your quotient, whatever number you put up as your quotient, by your divisor, 1 times 22. That's what you're subtracting. I gave 1 good to each of my 22 students. So take a moment and subtract 26 minus 22. Right, 26 minus 22 is 4. When you check your remainder of 4 against your divisor, you know that it's fine because 4 is less than 22. If your remainder happened to be more than your divisor, you know that this number would need to go up another one, but we're good. So drop down your 4. Now I have 44. About how many times can 22 go into 44? Or a nice friendly compatible number might be 20. About how many times can 20 go into about 40? Which would be 2 times. So now I'm going to do 2 times 22. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Left over you have a remainder of nothing. So each friend made about 12 baked goods. The question over to the right is similar, but there is a remainder that you need to express as a fraction. So this skill is also on your test, and we'll talk about it a little bit more on our test review day. But if you want to try this one now, I strongly recommend you try it now so that you feel comfortable with it when we go over it. Look at your last question on the left side. Mr. Slappy has 8 potted plants. He buys a 20-pound bag of potting soil that he wants to pour equally into 8 pots. About how much potting soil will Mr. Slappy pour into each pot? Again, I'm going to go through and use cubes on all my word problems. So I'm going to circle my important numbers. So 8 potted plants, a 20-pound bag of soil. I'm going to underline my question. How much potting soil will Mr. Slappy pour into each pot? Box my operation word. Operation word. He buys 20-pound bag of potting soil that he wants to pour. Oh, equally. Into 8 pots. About how much potting soil will he pour into each Okay, so let's see. Before I evaluate an expression, I'm going to review my important information. So I know that he has 8 plants and he has a total of 20 pounds of soil that he wants to split equally. So if it's equally, I know I'm dividing it. I'm cutting it up into the different 8 plants. So when I divide, the very first thing I look at is what is it that I'm sharing. Here I'm sharing 20 pounds of potting soil, and I'm sharing it with 8 pots. So I'm basically doing 20 divided by 8. Eight can go into 20 about how many times? Let's see, 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. Oh, 24 is too high. So it can only go in about 2 times. So I'm going to take away 8 times 2. I'm taking away 16. And that means I have 4 left. So remainder 4. I can take that remainder and express as a fraction of 2 and 4/8. Some of you might also recognize that 4/8 is equivalent to another fraction of 2 and 4/8 is equivalent to a half. I could divide both of those by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Either way, these are the same value, so that's not really what matters. You'll notice that that's not an answer choice, though. Your answer choices are between 2 different numbers. Would this be between 2 and a half? Would be between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, or exactly 3 pounds. In this instance, the correct answer is B, between 2 and 3, because I have at least 2, but I don't have quite 3. So I have a little bit more than 2, not quite 3. So on a number line, it would be between 2 and 3, which you can see here would be like 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 and a half would be right here on a number line, or 2 and 4/8, however way you want to look at it. But on a number line, it's between 2 numbers. It's between 2 and 3. And the strategy I told you to remember that is it's always the whole number you have and then the next number after it. So it's 2 and then the next number is 3, between 2 and 3. Again, you can try the question next to it if you choose to, if you have the time. If not, do not worry about it. We'll talk about it before we test next week. Again, this was just a nice quick review. I urge you to take the time to work out any ones that you weren't sure of, to try those ones again, so that you do your best and ace the test. Have a great weekend, be safe, and I'll see you all when you come back.